Alright, so here we're going to go through the first semester review for the final. And so starting off, 1, 2, and 3 are all dealing with the segment addition postulate, which means that if we add two small parts or two smaller segments together, we should get the length of the bigger segment. So number 1 is showing us that L to J is 18. If L to K is 7, then KJ, the one that's missing, is going to equal the total length 18 minus 7, or 11. Alright, 2 and 3 get a little more complicated because now we have a bunch of additional problems with x's in there. Same basic rule though, the two small segments added together are going to equal the big segment. So 2x plus 24 for FG plus 2x plus 23 would have to equal 11. Two small segments added together have to equal the big segment. So it's going to give us 4x plus 47 equals 11. And subtract the 47 from both sides. So now we have 4x equals negative 36 divided by 4. Actually going to be negative 9. Number 3, same idea. So adding the RQ and QP together, x plus 13 plus x plus 7 is going to equal 18. Or combine like terms, we get 2x plus 20 equals 18. Subtract the 20 from both sides, gives us 2x equals 2. Divide by 2, and x is going to equal 1. Alright, next section here. We are looking at finding the distance between points. Make a little more room here. Alright, so for these we're using the distance formula. Distance equals the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So x1, y1, x2, y2. So our distance is going to be the square root of the difference in the x's. So 8 minus 4 squared plus difference in the y's, or y2 minus y1, which will be 1 minus 0 squared. That's going to give us 8 minus 4, or 4 squared, plus 1 squared. Four squared is 16, plus 1 squared. 1 squared is 1. So our distance is going to be the square root of 17 for that one. Alright, so then number 5, same process, just different points. So 2 minus 3 squared for the x's, and for the y's, 8 minus 1 squared. So 2 minus 3 is going to give us negative 1 squared, and 8 minus 1 give us 7 squared. Negative 1 squared is 1. 7 squared is 49. equals the square root of 50. Which we could simplify that because the square root of 50 is the same thing as 25 times 2. And 25 has a square root, which is 5. And the 2 does not have a square root, so it's going to stay underneath the radical. 5 squared is 2. Find the midpoint of the line segment with the given endpoints. So we're using the midpoint formula. Midpoint formula is x1 plus x2 divided by 2. No, that's not lining up. X1 plus x2 divided by 2, and y1 plus y2 divided by 2. Add the x's divided by 2, add the y's divided by 2. So we have negative 8 plus negative 9 divided by 2, and 9 plus negative 10 divided by 2. Negative 8 plus negative 9 will be negative 17 halves for the x. 9 plus negative 10 will be negative 1 half. Okay. For 7, the x's, 10 plus negative 2 over 2, and the y's are going to be 1 plus negative 4 divided by 2, or 8 over 2 and negative 3 over 2. 8 over 2 becomes 4. So 4 negative 3 halves. Alright, so next, state if the given point is interior, exterior, or on the angle. So, fairly easy concept. If it's between the two rays that make the angle, it's interior. If it's outside of them, it's exterior. If it's on one of the rays, then it is on the angle. So P is not in between the two sides, so that's going to make it exterior. Number 9, P is in between the two rays, so that's going to make it interior. Alright, number 10, name the angle in 4 ways. So it's got a 3 there, so we can call it angle 3. That's one way. We could use just the vertex, angle F. Or we can use 3 letters as long as the vertex is in the middle. So we can say angle GFE, or we can flip that around, angle EFG. Just make sure that the vertex point is the middle point when you name them. All right. 11, find the measure of angle MLN if MLK equals 130 degrees and NLK equals 70 degrees. So MLK, the whole angle there is 132. NLK is 70. We're trying to find MLN. So it's going to be the difference between 132 and 70. So 132 minus 70. Measure of angle NLK is going to be 62 degrees. 12, find the measure of angle BCT if the measure of angle BCD equals 180 and the measure of angle TCD equals 160. So BCD, the whole thing is 180. TCD is 160. So the measure of angle BCT is going to equal 180 minus 160, or 20 degrees. 13, measure angle CDE equals 141. Measure angle CDG is 6x plus 20. Measure angle GDE is 4x plus 11. Find x. So the whole thing is 141. CDG, just this portion, is 6x plus 20. And GDE is 4x plus 11. So this is using the angle addition postulate. Two smaller angles added together equal the biggest angle. So 6x plus 20 plus 4x plus 11 has to equal 141. Combine like terms, that's going to be 10x plus 31 equals 141. Subtract 31 from both sides. 10x equals 110. And divide by 10, and x equals 11. 14. And IJ is 126x plus 1. HIN 49x minus 1. And HIJ, the whole thing, is 175. So the two small angles, 49x minus 1 plus 126x plus 1 has to equal the total, which is 175. So 49x plus 126x will be 175x. And 1 plus 1 is going to cancel each other out. Equals 175 divided by the 175. And x is going to equal 1 here. Alright, so then moving on. Okay. Alright, find the measure of angle B. So we have a couple different situations here. You have to recognize the situation. Alright, so we have a right angle right here. So that means with this ray right here, this side is also going to have to be a right angle. We're trying to find angle B. Then angle B plus 28 has to equal a right angle, or B plus 28 has to equal 90. Subtract 28 from both sides, and B is 62. 16. This is a set of vertical angles. And we learned that when we have a set of vertical angles, they are congruent to each other. So B is going to be the same as the angle that's straight across from, which is 77 degrees. Right. Then 17. They're not on opposite sides, they are side by side, making a straight line. So this is an example of a linear pair. And those are going to equal 180 degrees if you add them together. So 60 plus B equals 180. Subtract the 60, and B is going to equal 120 degrees. Alright, so find the value of x. Still using those same relationships we just dealt with, just a little more complicated. Alright, so we have adjacent angles that make a straight line, which means they are a linear pair. So just like up here, they've got to add up to equal 180. So 2x plus 29 plus 91 has to equal 180. Or 2x plus 120 equals 180. Subtract 120 from both sides. X equals 60, and divide by that 2. X will be 30. And the other example, once again, this is a vertical angle, or set of vertical angles, and so they should be equal to each other. 3x plus 1 should equal 43. Subtract 1 from both sides. 3x equals 42. And divide by 3. X equals 14. Identify each pair of angles as corresponding alternate interior, alternate exterior, or consecutive interior. Alright, so y and x. We got a transversal there. They're on different sides of the transversal, but they are not in between the parallel lines, so they are outside the parallel lines, or they are exterior. So this is alternate exterior angles, which if we had numbers there, they would be the same. They're going to be equal to each other, or congruent. 21, they're on different sides of the transversal, but they are in between the two lines, so this time it's alternate interior angles. Make sure you know those different sets of angles, because maybe a different set on the actual test. Find the measure of each angle indicated. Alright, so 22, we got alternate interior angles, and alternate interior angles are going to be congruent, or the same. So the question mark should equal 119 degrees, because those are going to be the same, since the lines are parallel. Little arrowheads there tell us that those are parallel lines. So 23, another set of parallel lines cut by a transversal. This time we're looking at the alternate exterior angles. And when the lines are parallel, the alternate exterior angles are congruent. So that question mark angle should be the same as its alternate exterior angle, which is 52 degrees. (24), solving for x. Okay, so this is the one set that is not the same. These are consecutive interior angles, and they are supplementary, or they add up to 180. So 100 plus 17x minus 5 has to add up to 180. So 100 minus 5, 95, plus 17x equals 180. Subtract 95 from both sides. And 17x equals 85. And divide by 17. Our x value is going to be 5. Alright, so then 25. These are in the same location in reference to the intersection, both on the bottom right. So these are corresponding. And corresponding angles are also congruent to each other. So 42x minus 1 should equal 41x plus 2. So add 1 to both sides. And then subtract 41x. Our x is going to be 3. then find the measure of the indicated angle that makes lines U and V parallel. So in order for the lines to be parallel, we have alternate interior angles here. And the alternate interior angles have to be the same, or they have to be equal to each other. So 88 has to equal the question mark. And same thing here, another set of alternate interior angles. And so the question mark has to equal 81 here. Right. Which is going to be the case if we have alternate interior angles, alternate exterior angles, corresponding angles. Right, any of those, they're going to equal each other. If we have consecutive interiors, then those two have to add up to equal 180. All right. Classify each triangle by its angles and sides. Equal sides and equal angles, if any, are indicated in each diagram. All right, so we got no congruence marks on either one of those. So we know they're both going to be scalene. And if I look at these angles, all those angles look like they are less than 90. It's going to be scalene acute. 29, we got a little red box there, which means that that is a right angle, or this is a scalene right triangle. All right, solving for x. Here we're basing it on the rule that all three angles of a triangle add up to equal 180 degrees. So to figure out the x, we add everything up and set it equal to 180. 75 plus 55 plus 6 plus 4x has to equal 180. 75 plus 55 is going to be 130. Plus 6 is 136. Subtract 136 from both sides. And 4x is going to equal 54. Not sure I did that right. That is 44. It should be 44. So divide by the 4. X equals 11. All right, so then 31. Same idea. Now this one we can take a shortcut because we have a right angle here. So we know that if this is 90 degrees, the other two angles, the two acute angles, have to add up to equal 90. So we can just say x plus 58 plus 40 equals 90. So x plus 98 is going to equal 90. Subtract the 98. And x is going to equal negative 8. All right, find the measure of each angle indicated. And so we've got 32. Trying to figure out what this angle is right here. Which we have one angle, we don't know this angle, so we've got to use this triangle to come up with this angle here. So we know that 54 plus 60 plus that angle has to equal 180, or 180 subtract 54 and 60, which would be 180 minus 114, which would be 66 degrees there. which means that vertical angles are congruent. So this one is also 66 degrees. So now 180 subtract 35 plus 66, which would be 180 subtracting 101. 79 degrees. All right, 33. We're trying to find this angle right here. We know that this is a right angle, so we're going to use this triangle, figure out what this side of the right angle is, and then we can find the other side, and then we can get to the third angle that we need there. So 180 minus 98 plus 32 be 180 minus 130 be 50. So that angle there is 50. And since that's a 90-degree angle, 90 minus 50 is going to equal 40. So we know that angle is 40. And then the question mark is going to be what's left when we subtract 40 and 70 from 180. So that's 180 minus 110. Be 70 degrees. All right, moving on. Determine if the two triangles are congruent. If they are, state how you know. All right, so if we look at this first one, we got one set of sides congruent with the two markings. Now a set of sides that are congruent with the three markings. And this line right here is shared between the two triangles. So that line is going to be congruent to itself. So in this case, all three sides of this triangle are congruent to corresponding sides of that triangle. So yes, they are congruent, and it's by side, side, side. All right, 35. We got two sides that are congruent. They intersect here, so we would have a set of congruent angles there, which is all that we can come up with. And so in this case, we got a side, side, and an angle, or an angle and a side and side. Either way, we don't have a congruence postulate that we can, or actually, if we look at this one, this is side angle side, this one is side side angle. This angle, or this side and that side don't match up corresponding wise, so that automatically invalidates that one. So this one is not congruent, or we don't have enough information. All right, 36. We got this side congruent to this side. We got a set of right angles which have to be congruent to each other. And then we share the side in between the two triangles, so it's going to be congruent to itself by the reflexive property. And so now, since this is a right triangle, we got the hypotenuse and a leg congruent to a hypotenuse and a leg. So this one's going to be yes by HL, hypotenuse leg. 37. This angle is congruent to that angle. This side's congruent to that side, so we got an angle and a side. And then we have an intersection, so we have a set of vertical angles. Vertical angles are congruent. So we have yes by angle, side, angle. All right. 38 and 39, each figure shows a triangle with one or more of its medians. All right, so all we need to remember here is the medians intersect at a point called the centroid, and the distance from the vertex to the centroid is 2/3 of the total length from the vertex to the opposite side, or the side to the centroid is 1/3 of the total length of that median. So find KH if KW is 9. So that segment's 9. Then we want to know what the whole thing is. So KW has to be equal to 2/3 of KH. That's the rule we're following. The segment from the vertex to the centroid is 2/3 of the length of the entire segment. So then plug in our 9 for KW and divide by 2/3 to get the KH by itself, which will be the same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal, 3/2. So we're going to have 27/2 equals KH, or that would be what, 13.5? And then 39, find GY if YV equals 3. So if that length is 3, what is the length from here to here? So if YV equals 1/3 of GV, the whole thing, and so 3 equals 1/3 of GV, divided by the 1/3, which is the same as multiplying by its reciprocal, which is 3, on the other side. So the whole thing is 9, and GY is the vertex to the centroid, so it is 2/3 of GV. GY equals 2/3 of 9. Number 1, if we multiply that out, then we've got that 3 will cancel out and leave us with a 3 above. So GY equals 2 times 3, or 6. Or since GY is 2/3 and YV is 1/3, then we could have really done this easily if we'd have just said 2/3 is just double 1/3, so 3 times 2 would be 6. All right, each figure shows a triangle with its 3 angle bisectors intersecting at point P. Find the length of PY if PX is 5. P to X is 5. And we're trying to find PY, which the rule we have to know is that if we have angle bisectors intersecting, first off, the point where they intersect is known as the incenter, and the incenter is equidistant from the sides. So PX is going from the circumcenter, or the incenter, to the side. PY is going from the incenter to the side, and PW is going from the incenter to the side. So really, each one of those is going to be 5. So PY equals 5. The same as PX. All right, 41 and 42 state if 3 numbers can be the measures of the sides of a triangle. So the rule is any 2 sides have to add up to be greater than the 3rd side, or to make sure we take the 2 smallest sides, 4 plus 7, and they have to end up being greater than the biggest side, 8. Which in this case, 11 is greater than 8. Yes, it is. So yes, that will make a triangle. And 14, 10, and 8. 10 and 8 are the 2 smallest, so 8 plus 10 has to be greater than 14, which 18 is greater than 14. So yes, it is. Those two numbers don't come out to be greater. If they come out to be equal or less than, then it is not a triangle. All right, 43 and 44, trying to figure out what range of possible measures can be for the third side. So we know that the third side, if we call that x, then 12 plus 7 has to be greater than x. Right, any two sides added together have to be greater than the third side. So 12 plus 7 is going to give us 19. That is greater than x. And then also we need to make sure that the x plus the smallest side is bigger than the largest side that we have there. So x plus 7 has to be greater than 12. Subtract the 7. So x has to be greater than 5. So our range for our x, basically 5 is less than x is less than 19. So between 5 and 19 is the range of numbers we can use. And for 7 and 8, so third number x, so 7 plus 8 has to be greater than the third side, x. So 15 has to be greater than x. And then the smallest one plus x has to be bigger than the largest one. So 7 plus x has to be greater than 8. Subtract the 7. And x is going to be greater than 1. So 1 is less than x is less than 15. So the x has to be between 1 and 15. And that concludes the review.